Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the store. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm looking for a knife. All right, need to be a pretty specific knife.
Okay, pretty specific knife. What are we talking about with our pretty specific knife? Are we looking for a folder, a fixed blade, or are we wanting to skin deer with it? Or wanting to cut open packages? What are you using it for?
Well, it's gonna be for my daughter. So what I'm wanting, real specific now, it's got to be sharp and pokey. That's what I'm looking for. Sharp and pokey are two things. Yeah, she's my apple of my eye, my little dumpling. She's two, you know. Yeah, she's getting pretty tough on them community playgrounds now. She needs something, you know.
She's two, like 2 years old, and she needs one to carry. That's what you want. For community playgrounds, is there a lot of string to cut or something? Or, I mean, I got some smaller stuff. Like we got some folders that are liner locks that, you know, are smaller. I don't really feel comfortable with that, selling you a knife for your 2-year-old to carry. You're going to dull it down, right? It's just going to be for fun. I got a spine lock. Those are really nice. You know, I wouldn't suggest anything real big. Yes.
Well, what about something like this here? That'd work. It's sharp, pointy, pokey. I like it. I think she'd love it. I think I'll go with this one here. And I mean, what's that called? It's a knife. Is there a certain kind of knife it is? What do they call that? It's nice.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I can't in good faith sell you a knife for your 2-year-old to carry around everywhere. You know, maybe that's called a fixed blade. It's what that knife's called. It's fixed blade has, you know, it's fixed. It doesn't fold. Folders are a little more easy to carry, concealable, I guess you could say. Skinning deer, there's some really good folding knives for skinning deer. You could use that. That'd be fine. You know.
Well, you know what? I may just bring her in and let her decide for herself and see what she'd like to carry. She likes to whittle sticks, and you know, she shot her first deer last year, and we're pretty proud of her. She's won, and yeah, she got to skin her a deer or two, and that's, you know, she'll be using it for that. But boy, I like them sharp, pointy things, you know. Yeah, I'm a fan of them. What about this? Yeah, I'll take this. This'll do. Boy, she'll be able to do a lot of stuff with that. Chop wood. Yeah, buddy, that's nice right there. I believe that's one I'll go with right there.
No, sir. No, not that. That's sold already. Yeah, we're not going to sell you that one. It's sold. Yeah, sorry. Why don't you just bring her on in and we'll talk about it some more later on. Okay. All right. That'll work. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hanging Our Knives. I'm so happy you could be here. Hope you're enjoying your day as much as I am. Let's talk a little bit about knives. The different types, to be specific. Now, we're not going to go into blade shapes in this video. I want to keep this video to more of the locking mechanisms and the different types of folding knives. Now, we've all seen a fixed blade knife. Fixed blade knife, like in the start of the video, and that crazy guy wanted to buy a big knife for his 2-year-old. They do make them, right? They make them very big. They make swords, but you're not going to carry around a sword every single day. I carry around this thing right here every day if I'm not at work. This is my fixed blade. Of course, with me making knives, it's always good for me to carry around a little sample of my product, okay? For people to ooh and ah at. Now, I also carry these for utility reasons. It's easy, one-handed access, one-handed put away. I can pull it out, cut whatever I'm needing to cut, put it back in, and it's phenomenal, right? So a pro of that would be easy access, one-handed open, one-handed close. A con of this would be, well, they're not practical everywhere I go. I'm not going to carry this on my hip if I go to church or go to a wedding or something like that. So I'm going to go to the next best thing, and that is a folding knife. Now, a folding knife, of course, like it says, folds. So let's look at that. This is the first one we're going to talk about because this is the most iconic. You've seen them. Your granddaddy carried them. Your pappy carried them, whoever. Slip joint pocket knife. Slip joints, they get their name because it rides along this little metal back here, this little spring steel, and it opens and closes with no locking mechanism other than the force of this back here. So it slips into place and creates a good joint right back here. Now, with that being said, they're elegant. They look lovely. But oh my goodness, they're terrible if I'm working overhead, I'm on a ladder, I'm holding something in this hand and I need to cut something with this hand, I'm about to drop it, hit the head of the person holding the ladder. Now they're rendered unconscious. We got to go to the hospital and stop everything we're doing just because I wanted to use this darn knife. So let's look at the pros of it. They're cool looking. Okay, a lot of times you can get double blades in them, not like you're going to be like Wolverine. But you can, this one goes dull, you didn't take care of it like you should have. Shame, shame, shame. We talked about that, right? But you got another blade for a backup. Now what, in reality, what these are made for, this is a trapper. Okay, a trapper is a two-blade system, usually a utility blade like this and a skinning blade like this. Now we're not going to talk about blade shapes and their uses, but I just wanted to throw that out there. These slip joints lock into place, or friction lock into place, and I can carry it in my pocket. So a good thing about this is usually they're accepted anywhere, okay, unless it says like no weapons. But you carry this in your pocket at a church, at a wedding, whatever, and nobody's going to bat an eye. The next step up from that is something like this. This is a lock back or a spine lock. Right here on the spine, you see there's a locking feature. There's a bar. Watch it pop into place. Boom, it popped up, right? Did you see that? Now this, I can do whatever I need to do, and I don't have to worry about this closing on me. Unless I push this right here, it's not going to close up on my hand like, say, the slip joint would. The slip joints are pretty notorious for getting in a bind and potentially closing up on your hand, cutting yourself, and that's a bad day. With this, we see that it locks into place. I don't have to worry about it falling down. However, it's still a two-handed opening knife, meaning that I've got to put my thumbnail in this little thumbnail groove, open it, and lock it into place. Okay, now they're fancy, they look nice, you can carry them anywhere, and it's a little bit of a step up from, say, your general slip joint knife for lockability and for what we'll call safety, okay? Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is a step up from there, which is a more everyday carry, modern, tactical looking type knife. But what they did is they added an enlarged thumb hole. Now some just have a thumb stud and allows us to open it up one-handed. So I can carry this in my pocket very discreetly, has a pocket clip, carry it on there, pull it out, slide it open, and now I can use it. Okay. A downfall of this, though, could be if you don't practice with it and don't really work with it a whole lot, you're not going to be able to close it with one hand. So you'd still need maybe two hands to close it. Okay, so that can be a downfall of these spine lock knives. Now moving into another one that y'all see all the time. I'm sure anytime you go Walmart, whatever, you see a liner lock knife. Now, liner lock knives like this, they open up, same concept. This has a thumb stud where you can open it up just like so, one-handed, do what I need to do. And then when I go to close it though, do you see how there's this little big groove right here? Now, like I said, you can go Walmart. Walmart Ozark Trail makes knives similar to this. This is a Kershaw. But they make knives similar to this where it is, you push this over to the side like so, and then now it can close. Downfall of that, again, is sometimes it can be two-handed close if you're not practicing with it. So when I say practice, I mean you're sitting there, you push it over with your thumb, push it down, and then grab it, okay? So they're very handy, can be very useful. However, we got to be careful with them to make sure that we don't close them up on our hand when we're trying to close these things one-handed. The next thing we'll move into is something called a bolster lock. Now, bolster locks are really cool. Downfall of these things, so a con of these is they're heavier. There has to be more meat right here. Buck came out with this several years ago. It's a really cool knife. And what happens is I take and I push it over to the side, and then now I can access my flipper in the back. This is an assisted, not an automatic, but an assisted, meaning that I have to actually push this to get it started and carry it the rest of the way. So when I do that, it also locks my bolster back in place. So now this is in place. This is a good hefty knife. It's going to stay in place. I don't have to worry about it going anywhere. It's not going to close up on my hand, which is really nice. Now, the downfall again is that they're heavier, but you can close these one-handed, meaning that I take and slide that over like so, take my finger and just push it down. Okay? So we see that. Open it up. Boom. Close it. Boom. Okay? These are a nice feature. Those come in different shapes and sizes too. They're not as common as, say, a liner lock or, say, a spine lock, but they're still out there and you can get them. Now here we're going to get to a plunge lock. Plunge locks, basically what they do, you got to have heftier scales. Okay, so that's what these are, these handles. And so they have to be a little bit heftier and thicker because the lock actually goes inside it and pushes over. There's this little steel bar back here. And so when I go to push this button, this isn't automatic, so when I push this button, it flips open. Now, a pro of these is they're fun and they're cool because everybody likes a push button knife. Okay, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a switchblade. Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, but that's kind of old terminology. It's just an automatic knife. It's a push button knife, okay? We also have knives that are push buttons that, you drive up and they go out the front. That's an out the front knife, or an OTF as they're called. And so those can be really good too, except there's usually a lot of blade wiggle in it, even in your high-end knives, and you're going to pay for them. And what I mean pay for them is you can pick knives up like this for sub 100, okay? OTF knives for a good one, a good quality one, meaning that whenever you push the button up, it's going to actually work. They're 2+, okay? So 250 or more, even in a lot of good ones. If you go get a Benchmade or some of the others that are really good quality knives, you're looking at more 3+, okay? So keep that in mind if you're looking for the out the fronts. Also, keep in mind with your laws. So some of these are not legal in certain states, depending on where you live. Where I live, this is perfectly fine, okay? But make sure that you're watching that, because if you got an out the front, people freak out sometimes, okay? A lot of times, only military and law enforcement can have them. However, depending on the state you live in, you're usually good. Now, let's talk about the last thing that we're going to go over, and that is an axis lock. An axis lock, these are something that Benchmade came out with, and they're extremely popular. Popular, that's the word I'm looking for. And what they do is they allow us to pull this bar down, and it has a spring on it, okay? So it's springy. Better not than spring, which is lovely for today, because today's a nice spring day. It's cold, and of course it is windy outside, but lovely spring day. So when I look at this, it has this bar that catches the blade. When I push that bar down, that blade is now free swinging, meaning it can move however. So these are excellent for one-handed open and one-handed close. Now the problem with these, like Benchmades and those type of knives, they're over 100, okay? So usually like 150 to 200, okay, is a lot of their knives. Now, I'm a knife collector as well as a knife maker, so you may be wondering, wow, you've shown a lot of knives, but none of your own folders. Well, I make folders, but not a lot, enough to keep on hand. Usually if I make it, I sell it. And so it's just something that I don't make a lot of. I make more fixed blade knives. Now, I'm working on some folders, so you'll see that in the future, and y'all will probably actually be the first ones to see them before I even offer them for sale. So you're lucky. So let's look at this again. A pro of it is, of course, the ease of access. One-handed open, one-handed close. Okay. The con of it, a lot of these knives, price point. Right, that's a con of it. It's a good knife, good steel. Okay, a lot of times they can, another con of this one would be that it is the injected molded handles, and you can push them and close them. So they're kind of flimsier than, say, like something like this, that it's a solid steel handle. Okay, this isn't going to be damaged. This one you could break. Okay, so you got to be careful. I'm not going to take it, put it into something and pry with it, which you shouldn't do that with your knives anyways. It voids the warranty. A little tip there. If you break the tip of a knife, 99% of knife companies won't warranty that knife. Okay, I'm a little different because a lot of my knives are fixed blades and they super thick. Okay, so I'm not necessarily worried about you breaking a tip on my knife. But knives like this that are thinner, if you break a tip on it, they're going to say, well, you were using it as a pry bar, screwdriver, something you're not intended to do. Now, a lot of these knives, all the ones I've shown, have really great warranties. If something breaks on them, they're usually good about it. But talking about that, that's getting into something different, and I am rambling on, and I'm going to stop that. So, I'm done rambling on. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Be good people, and you make good choices.